Hi there, I'm Drew Badger, the world's #1 English fluency guide, and it is a pleasure to welcome you to another advanced listening practice lesson. Today in this lesson, I wanted to ask you, what is your problem? And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I get lots of questions actually from other teachers, so people that want to do what I do, especially become English fluency guides, and that are excited about the idea and how much different it is than actual teaching. So they want to learn exactly what they should be teaching in classes. So even just yesterday, I had an email from someone and they were saying, hey, I'm about to teach a group of people. How should I teach them? What should I teach them? And the first thing, really kind of the most important thing I want to explain to them, as well as to you if you're, just someone that's learning the language, you're not trying to teach it to anyone, is to think about what's the actual problem that needs to be solved. Typically, whatever the language class is, it doesn't really matter the level for most. I guess it could be in a classroom or people sitting down at a cafe to study, or in any other situation where you're trying to teach people. Typically, you have someone that just says, I want to learn. And then you have a teacher that's saying, well, okay, are you a beginner or intermediate or advanced or whatever that level? And then they try to design some kind of curriculum to fit that student's needs. And really what's happening is that without getting any real information from the student, the teacher is just deciding, well, you should know this, or you should have this kind of information, and we should be teaching you in a specific way, without actually doing the most important job of asking the student, what's your actual problem? And this is it's the complete opposite way of doing something, the way I do things as an English fluency guide. And when I'm thinking about trying to help people, really what I'm asking them is, what's your actual problem with fluency? Now, people think often that the real path to fluency is you just continue to learn more, you continue to drill more grammar, you continue to learn more vocabulary words. Maybe you're watching lots of videos like this, but you don't seem to get more fluent. And the typical reason why, or I'd probably say the #1 reason why in most cases, is that you're not focusing on the right English fluency habits. Now, when people understand this idea of that there's fluency, which is a collection of habits, versus fluency, which is a bunch of knowledge, like you've learned a whole bunch of words and a whole bunch of grammar and other things individually, it's different than actually putting them together to produce correct speech. I can't speak. It's too early in the morning over here, but smooth speech, fluent speech. And this means that you can actually speak without having to think about it, without having to translate in your head before you speak. And it's just a lot of other things that come with fluency. So it's a collection of habits rather than a collection of knowledge, because really the knowledge is great for when you want to pass a test, but fluency actually requires you to be able to speak in the moment. So you listen to something and you can quickly respond. It could be with a joke or with just a regular response, but you have to be able to do that quickly and seamlessly. And that's what's going to help you become a confident speaker. So when people are asking me, hey, what should I be teaching? I say, well, I don't know. It depends on what the student is asking for. So a lot of times students don't even know what their problem is. So if you are trying to be an English fluency guide, or even you are just thinking about yourself as a learner, you have to think, what's my actual problem? And then you focus on that thing, and then you solve the problem, and then you can learn to develop each of your 7 English fluency habits in that way. So let's say, as an example, if I struggle with I'm able to understand English speakers quite well, so I don't have a problem with that. So I probably don't need to spend much time with listening. And if I know a lot of words, I probably don't need to spend much time trying to use a dictionary or textbooks or other things where I'm learning just more information. I have a huge list of words and vocabulary or expressions, so I don't need to buy any more phrase books or other things like that. I don't need to buy any more courses that teach me, 100 or 200 phrases, because I don't really need to know that information. I need to think about, what's my actual problem? And if my actual problem is that, okay, I know things, I can understand people, my grammar understanding is okay, but I can't really use it confidently, then maybe grammar would be the thing to focus on. So it's not about learning what information. When people say like, what should I be learning? What's the most important thing I should be learning? It's not about learning information. It's about how do you develop all of the habits required to become a confident speaker. And so this is again the same for you as a personal learner, or if you're a teacher, if you're trying to help other people learn. So the first time, if I were to meet a group of people right now at a cafe or just an individual student that's coming to me and saying, can you please help me learn? I would say, okay, tell me what your problems are. What are the actual most difficult things about fluency for you? Is it just shyness, or maybe you don't know that many words and we actually have to help you develop a vocabulary of things? So there are lots of different reasons why you might not speak fluently, but most of those reasons are not that you don't know enough words. So I want to make sure that's clear. Most people, like if you're watching this video right now and you can understand what I'm saying and you know a bunch of words, but you just can't quite connect things fluently when you speak, there's like an actual reason why that's happening, and it has to do with your personal level for your English fluency habits. So maybe you have some of them well developed, and maybe you don't have others developed at all. So if you're, again, knowing a lot of words, but you have very little confidence, then the confidence is the thing specifically that you need to work on. So you need to understand about being shy. Typically, like even just to focus on eliminating shyness right now in this video, you have to think about, number one, what are the beliefs that you have about how you speak and who you are? So in my, I guess in my own personal life, like I was actually really shy when I was a kid. So I was quite shy, and I would try to pretend like I wasn't shy. And, you know, it's kind of the thing that people typically do that way. You would try to pretend like you're not shy, but I was actually quite shy. And as I got older, it's kind of difficult to think about it when you're pretty young. But as I got older, I thought about it and thought, well, what do I have really to be shy about? I mean, I could make a mistake or say something wrong or whatever. And this is even just me in speaking English. Someone could get mad at me because I do something, or, you know, whatever the reason happens to be. But when you're thinking about these things, you try to think about what's the actual conclusion of that. So someone gets mad at me. Okay, like, am I going to die? No. I mean, is something really bad going to happen? Probably not. And so if you can think about what's actually the worst that could happen, and you realize it's probably not that big of a deal, then, oh, okay, well, let me just try to actually see if I can develop my confidence that way. So a lot of that thing, specifically confidence, has to do with the beliefs that you have about yourself and how you speak. Like many people think, oh, if I try to speak with a native speaker, they won't want to speak with me. And again, it's true or not true for you. So if you believe it happens to be true, then it will be true. So in my case, I believe like people are more than likely to want to speak with me. Like if I'm just talking about Japanese speakers in my area. Now somebody, or even, you know, maybe quite a few people, like I say, hey, hello to people, and they don't really do anything. Maybe they don't say hello back, and that's okay. I'm not going to worry about that, but most of the people do. And so my belief is the more important thing. It's not even really what people actually do. It's more my belief in that kind of thing. So as an English fluency guide, if you want to be that kind of help for people, it's not about teaching them more information like a teacher would be. Hey guys, we're going to teach you 10,000 phrases. Yeah, who cares about 10,000 phrases if you can't speak? So there's no point in adding more and more to this pile of information if this pile over here is the weak one you need to focus on. So you really have to think about what's your problem, or what, as a teacher, as an English fluency guide, what the problem of your learners would be. So what I'd like you to do today is just think about that and think about where you really struggle, because if it could be maybe you can't understand native speakers, but you can understand me, then you really have to take certain steps in order to improve your listening. And we help people do that at EnglishAnyone.com. Or, you know, it could be any one of many other things. Really, it could be improving grammar. It could be sounding more natural, improving your pronunciation. And all of these things, they come together, but only if you focus on the weakest one first, because that's going to give you the most rapid improvement, the fastest improvement, so that you can feel much more motivated and excited to continue learning. Because fluency, even when it does happen quickly, it still takes, it's not something that happens overnight. So think about these things as you're trying to get fluent and continually ask yourself, what's my problem? Or what's the problem that my learners might be having? And then focus on that, and you always continue to solve that thing, because as you improve one habit, then another habit becomes the weakest one relative to the other ones. So you're always trying to improve and move up like this, and try to become a native speaker, or maybe not necessarily native, but at least a fluent speaker, and to actually develop the habits that everyone else that is a native speaker has. Because it certainly is possible to do it, but the only way to do it is, again, to focus on your problem in the same way an entrepreneur would focus on the problem in a market. So I don't go to people and tell them what to do. I go to people as like a business person or an entrepreneur, and I say, oh, tell me what your problem is. So as a teacher, you're trying to tell people what to do, but first you have to figure out what the actual problem is before you can guide them, before you can show them the right path to get fluent or to solve their problem in general. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's been a lot of fun making it. Even though I get up early, I get excited. I have a different studio room today, so I'm back to my kind of traditional cloth background, and it's like whiting out my face in a weird way. But hopefully the information itself is important, and that's what you should be focusing on. Anyway, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you have enjoyed this, do click that like button, become a subscriber to the YouTube channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye-bye. To continue learning, click on the link in this video to download Speak English Naturally, our free guide to speaking and sounding like a native English speaker. The guide reveals the 3 most important kinds of conversational English you must learn if you want to sound native, and will help you experience instant improvement in your fluency and speaking confidence. To download your free guide on a mobile device, click on the link in the upper right of this video. To download your free guide from a computer, click on the link in the lower right of this video. I look forward to seeing you in the guide.